This is Easy Friday. My name is Shiksha, Arora, and welcome to the show that gets easier every Friday. In fact, we've got a new special segment that we'll be talking about later on. It's called Spotlight, and we've got the one and only music sensation Bahati. So that's all happening right here on KBC Channel 1.
Definitely an Easy Friday. Later on this same show, we'll be discussing matters to do with the national dress. Do you feel, as a Kenyan, that you need a unique outfit or attire to identify you as being Kenyan? That and a lot more, but we also have business with Caroline.
Well, in business, borrowers feel the pinch as banks review the cost of loans. We'll be telling you that and much more later on in the business segment. My name is Caroline Jenger.
And on sports, we have the one and only Mr. Munga.
Oh, thank you. And all those sports today, of course, the headlines. The national trials for the upcoming Athletics Under-20 World Championships continue today at the Kasarani Stadium. Just a reminder, they come to a close tomorrow. So we'll be telling you all the details as well as other sports updates later on. See you then.
Hashtag Easy Friday on Twitter at Indimuli.
At Shiksha Arora. Remember, the sign language interpreter is Lucy Mara.
Let's take a look at the highlights. The countdown begins. Electoral body IEBC says the 2022 general election will be held on 9th August.
Court of Appeal wraps up hearing the Building Bridges Initiative appeal case to deliver ruling on 20th of August.
Haiwezi kuwa ya kwamba biashara ya mtu mdogo inafanywa kuwa biashara haramu. Ati mtu mdogo akiwa hapa hoka anafanywa kuwa yeye ni mhalifu.
Tuko na mpango ya kutosha ya kuboresha maisha katika taifa letu. Kuanzia mama mboga huko chini, vijana, mpaka kila mahali. Sisi nataka kusema comprehensive economic development program. Tulete mapinduzi ya kiuchumi.
Campaign shaping up. DP Ruto woos small traders in Kamukunji as Raila takes his charm offensive to Nyeri.
Welcome to the bulletin. My name is Shiksha Arora. I've got my co-anchor here, Fred Indimuli. Remember, you can always get in touch with us. The hashtag is Easy Friday at Shiksha Arora.
At Fred Indimuli. At KBC Channel 1 as well. And our sign language interpreter once again is Lucy Maura. Let's kick off this bulletin.
The first story of the day.
Yes, the first story. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, says the 2022 general elections will be held on 9th of August.
Now, IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati says the Campaign Financing Act, which was suspended only for the 2017 general elections, now stands in force.
The commission has, to that effect, given the green to political parties and aspirants to ready themselves for the much-anticipated political contest.
Kenyans are set to go to the ballot on the 9th of August next year, following an announcement by the electoral body IEBC that so far nothing stops the commission from conducting the poll. The announcement by IEBC now appears to have slammed the door on any possibility of postponing the 2022 political contest. In a statement, IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati says all political parties and candidates contesting in the 2022 elections can now set in motion campaigns financing mechanisms in accordance with the Campaign Financing Act of 2013. The Act provides for the regulation, management, expenditure and accountability of election campaign funds during the elections and referendum campaigns. For Easy Friday, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now on to matters BBI, the court, which concluded 4 days of submission, said it has to sieve mountains of documents before giving its final verdict.
Earlier, the respondents against the appeal had urged the Court of Appeal not to entertain the case, arguing that the promoters were advancing their own self-interests.
And the respondents claim the 2010 constitution was drafted after a long history of totalitarian rule, and the court should not accept this country to slide back.
The 4 days of the BBI appeal hearing came to an end on Friday evening, with the remaining respondents seeking the court to uphold the High Court judgment that declared the BBI initiative was unconstitutional. Starting off the hearing was Christian Andole, who questioned the funding of the initiative, saying those who appropriated state funds must be made to pay.
Was sufficient for an order to make good the loss of public funds. No evidence was needed for that order to be made. And my lords, the history of the erstwhile Constitution of Kenya, with its 6 provisions on public finance, never provided for a provision akin to Article 226(5).
KHRC and Kituo cha Sheria, represented by lawyer John Haminwa, asked the court to throw out the appeal as it had no merit, saying the submissions made by the petitioners were pedestrian and not in good faith.
The submissions that were made before you were pedestrian submissions, were not in good faith. Instead, my lords, I'm inviting you respectfully, you uphold the judgment of the High Court and you improve on it.
Hamino enumerated the history the Kenyan Constitution has taken to its present form, and that Kenyans sought to cushion themselves from totalitarians who had appetite for power.
And whatever problems we have in this country have absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution. They have nothing to do with the law. They have something to do with ourselves, and particularly the political class. When it comes to violence, they are the ones who are actually, one can suspect, they are really the ones who are fueling this.
Martha Karua, who was representing 3 Amishi, asked the court to use its power to stop modern dictators from using such amendments against the will of the people.
Using the Constitution or constitutional amendments as a special purpose vehicle to claw away on civil liberties and democratic gains.
The main reason why we're here is that particular bill. That one is completely finished. If they want to appeal and take us to the Supreme Court, tunawangoja huku, no problem. We'll meet up there, no problem. But in terms of proper jurisdiction, I mean, they shouldn't waste anybody else's time. This thing should end at this appellate level. And if they want to change the Constitution, let them follow the proper procedure, one amendment at a time.
But in making their final submissions while responding, BBI Secretariat and Raila Odinga, represented by lawyer James Orengo, urged the Court of Appeal to overturn the High Court ruling, saying it had been provided with evidence beyond reasonable doubt that the president was not a promoter.
If the president can be these ordinary things, including being a voter, I do not see why he cannot be a promoter. But we're not saying that in this instance he was a promoter. The documentation is clear from the record and the bundles and the records of the IEBC. The promoters were Junet, Mohammed and Waweru, and IEBC confirmed.
I submit that there is no constitution outside the Constitution, and there is no constitutional legitimacy outside the Constitution.
Lawyer Kimani Kiragu, representing the president, said it was not fair that the court was being urged to order the head of state to refund money without any evidence to support the claim.
Nobody has even suggested that this petition was served on the president. All you are being told to do is to say, because we placed it before the court, we must ask you to make orders against the president. What happened to his right to a fair trial?
Well, according to the judges, the judgment will be delivered on the 20th of August at 9 a.m.
Very good preparation. You can see the volumes of papers and documents that we must plow through. We will do that and we'll give our judgment on 20th August 2021 at 9 a.m.
Well, after the 4 days of lengthy submissions from both the respondents and the appellants, the 7-judge bench now will take up to 7 weeks to go write a judgment as the supporters and opposers of the Building Bridges initiative wait to see whether they'll be fulfilled with the judgment or they will head to the Supreme Court. For Easy Friday, I'm Serafina Robbie.
President Uhuru Kenyatta joined 8 other African heads of state and a host of other foreign dignitaries at the state memorial service for the late Zambia's founding president, Kenneth David Kaunda, in Zambia. President Kenyatta, who was accompanied by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo, described Kaunda as one of the last great sons of Africa who committed his entire life to the service of the people of the entire continent.
President Uhuru Kenyatta joined fellow African leaders in Zambia in state memorial service for Zambia's founding president Kenneth Kaunda, who passed on last month. President Uhuru Kenyatta eulogized Kaunda as a father and a man who was willing to sacrifice in order to ensure that justice prevailed.
President Kaunda taught us, and this is something that is greatly forgotten, that there is life after high office. He accepted the will of the people of Zambia graciously, with humility, and lived the remainder of his life in dignity.
President Kenyatta said Kenya will remember President Kaunda, fondly known as KK, as a great friend and partner of founding President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. In his address, host President Edgar Chagwa Lungu said the attendance of African leaders and other dignitaries was an affirmation of Dr. Kaunda's role in liberation struggle, global peace and security agenda, as well as sustainable development and regional integration.
He and his many colleagues now gone believed that we Africans deserved to decide our own destiny as a people, and that we could not be discriminated against and have our natural resources plundered by settlers.
Former President Kaunda, the first president of Zambia, died on June 17th, aged 97, and will be laid to rest on July 7th at the Embassy Park Presidential Burial Site in Lusaka, where 3 other past presidents were buried. Kevin Washira for Easy Friday.
Moving on, Deputy President William Ruto says the government should endeavour to decriminalise business for all Kenyans. Now, speaking in Kamukunji, Ruto said it is unfortunate that some Kenyan businesses have become soft targets of state machinery, alleging that legitimate goods are being treated like contraband.
Tunataka Kenya biashara ya kila mtu iheshimiwe. Haiwezi kuwa ya kwamba biashara ya mtu mdogo inafanywa kuwa biashara haramu. Ati mtu mdogo akiwa hapa hoka anafanywa kuwa yeye ni mhalifu. Ati mtu akiwa anafanya biashara ya mboga inakuwa biashara ambayo sio halali. We must decriminalize the businesses of all Kenyans so that everybody can do business.
Still on politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga says Kenyans should elect leaders based on their ideals and not ethnic background. Speaking in Nyeri County, Odinga said his support for former President Mwai Kibaki back in 2002 was enough proof against perceptions that he is ethnically biased. Raila says Kenya is capable of making tremendous progress if leaders work together without coalescing around their tribal kingpins. The opposition leader has in the meantime said the march to constitutional review remains well on course.
Wengine nasema tu Raila hataki Wakikuyu. Wakati nilikuwa nasema Kibaki tosha, sikujua yeye ni Mkikuyu. Nilikuwa nafikiri yeye ni Mjaluo au Mluhya. Sinijua yeye ni Mkikuyu. Lakini nikasema Kikuyu ni Mkenya kama Wakenya wengine, ama sivyo? Ndio sababu tukasema tusimame nyote nyuma ya Kibaki tuvuke hii mto tuende ngambo hili.
We appreciate what you did, that gentleman's gesture of extending your hand kusalimia Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, na nchi ikatulia na kazi ikaanza kufanyika.
Tuleta rege. Imeenda kwa half time. Kwa sababu mahakama wamepeleka kwa half time. Lakini itarudi. Sitarudi. Nobody can.
Nobody can stop reggae. Nobody can stop reggae. Nobody can stop reggae. 'Cause reggae's dead.
We've got a lot more lined up for you, including how the government is committed to supporting young people in the country. So stay tuned for that. Remember, the hashtag is Easy Friday. Talk to us on Twitter at Shiksha Arora,
at Fred Indimuli, and also at KBC Channel 1.
This is where it all began. As the mother of broadcasting in Kenya, you can trust KBC to bring you authentic news and programs to your living room. As KBC, we take pride in our unrivaled heritage as Kenya's trusted national broadcaster. Commanding over 92% digital television signal coverage of our country, 23 radio services that cut across our entire language spectrum, a national, regional and international digital presence backed by the most experienced and top-notch broadcast professionals in the industry.
A very good evening to you.
The new look Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is truly ahead of the pack. Turn to the mother of broadcasting in Kenya for stories that resonate with our identity, our aspirations as a people united in purpose. Real stories of hard work, of passion, of creativity, of big dreams. Stories that cement our nationhood. Stories that bring us together as one. We take pride in our shared heritage and destiny. KBC, informing, educating and entertaining Kenyans as one nation. KBC, Kenya's listening, Kenya's watching.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday, it's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange. Insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine. Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive Motor Insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, hata nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa. Our legends, Your legends. And now they're back on your screen.
There's nowhere like home after 31 years. What a feeling.
Karibu kwa taarifa zetu za leo. Mimi ni Bademo Hussein.
Bringing you news you can trust.
Ungana nasi kwenye taarifa zetu za humu nchini, ugaibuni na hata kwenye safu za spoti.
Join us every Saturday on KBC Darubini and KBC Channel 1 News as we bring you comprehensive news coverage presented by the trailblazers of newscasting in Kenya.
Nunda Tesi na Omo na Region Ngamani.
The Legends News Edition on KBC Channel 1 every Saturday.
Well, welcome back. I know it's easy Friday, but let's get serious a bit and take a look at matters of business. And the National Treasury has today disbursed 27 billion shillings to the county governments. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says funds for the financial year 2020-2021 totaling 316.5 billion shillings has been transferred to counties. Yatani has urged the devolved units to prioritize the clearing of pending bills. 2 weeks ago, counties had threatened to paralyze operations if National Treasury failed to release billions of shillings owed to the devolved units by the national government. The governors said the delay to disburse cash hand-crept operations and delivery of critical services at the counties. Today, the National Treasury has disbursed 26.9 billion shillings to the county governments. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani said the government had earlier released 290 billion shillings as equitable share to the 47 devolved units. In total, 316.5 billion shillings has been disbursed as allocated in the Division of Revenue Act for the financial year 2020-2021. Yatani further said an additional 28.5 billion shillings in conditional grants has also been released to the counties. In a joint meeting between the chair and vice chair of the Council of Governors, Yatani says both parties have agreed to prioritize the clearing of pending bills. This, he says, will enable counties to spur economic activities at the county level as part of the ongoing and inclusive economic recovery. The National Treasury says it will give counties ample time to process and transmit payment through the Integrated Financial Management Information System, IFMIS. Now to the top story of the day. Financial institutions have begun adjusting their prices in line with the new excise duty of 20%. Telecommunications companies and banks have been sending messages to their clients informing them about the new rates that came into effect from the 1st of July despite protests from industry players. Alan Oko has details of that story.
On the 1st of July, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani gazetted the Finance Act 2021 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta signed the document into law. In the Gazette notice, the 20% excise duty on loan fees will see banks pay the taxman more than 7 billion shillings annually, which experts say risks making credit costly for homes and businesses as lenders transfer the burden to borrowers. On Friday, NCBA Bank announced to its customers that all its loan-related fees and commissions will now be subjected to excise duty at the rate of 20% as banking institutions rush to comply with the new regulations. Telco Safaricom, in a text message to its customers, announced that fees on its M-Shwari loans will be subjected to 20% excise duty. Safaricom on Tuesday warned that it would increase airtime and internet charges if the president backed the MP's proposal to raise excise duty by 5 percentage points. Airtel has also increased the cost of making calls by up to 0.78 cents per minute in response to the increase in excise duty on airtime and data. The telco, in a statement, said it will increase its headline voice tariff to 2 shillings plus taxes, which will equate to 2 shillings 78 cents per minute. The Finance Act of 2021 introduces amendments to various tax-related acts of Parliament, including income tax, VAT, excise duty, tax procedures and miscellaneous fees and levies, as well as other related statutes in the public finance sector, including the Insurance Act, the Capital Markets Act, the Retirement Benefits Act, the Central Depositories Act, and the Stamp Duty Act. Alan Aoko, Easy Friday.
Well, that's all we had in business, but don't go too far. Richard Munga is on the other end with this day's sports. My name is Caroline Jinger.
Oh, good evening once again. I'm Richard Munga with the day's sport. Now, little known Maureen Cherotich won the women's 5,000 meters on day 2 of the under-20 national trials at the Kasarani Stadium. Also, the national 15s rugby team Simbas will host Senegal and Zambia in Pool B of round 2 of the 2021 Rugby Africa Cup at the Nyayo National Stadium, is starting tomorrow until the 10th of July.
Maureen Cherotich controlled the 5,000 meters final from the onset to easily win the race in 15 minutes, 44.26 seconds. Lois Wangoi finished second to guarantee herself a slot in Team Kenya. Peter Kidhome emerged the winner in the 400 meters hurdles finals. Margaret Gatti of Nyanza South won the women's 10-kilometer walk finals, while Jacinta Mudheu of Eastern finished second. The trials will be used to select Team Kenya ahead of the World Under-20 Athletics Championship. Close to 500 competitors are battling for the 50 places available on the final team, which will be named tomorrow. The global event is slated for August 17 to 22nd at Kasarani Stadium. Elsewhere, the national 15s rugby team Simbas will host Senegal and Zambia in Pool B of round 2 of the 2021 Rugby Africa Cup at the Nyayo National Stadium from 3rd to 10th July. The top 2 teams from this pool will join 4 other teams from Pool A and C for the 2022 Rugby Africa Cup, which will double up as a qualifier for the 2023 Rugby World Cup for Africa. Teams will compete for 1 direct qualification spot in the final World Cup tournament and for 1 place in the final repechage competition. And finally, the Kenya Lionesses squad that will face Madagascar in Saturday's test match at the Nyayo National Stadium has been named. Joy Kendagor captains the team that steps out for their first international fixture in 2 years and will be assisted by Julie Masharia. Lionesses assistant coach Micho Chola, who is handling the side as Felix Olo takes charge of the Olympic-bound 7 squad, says Saturday's game is a new chapter in women's rugby in Kenya, as it marks the first time the 15 squad is in action without the 7th players. Juliet Nyambura of Northern Suburbs, Mwamba duo Stacey Atieno and Evelyn Karamera, and Benedict Olicia of Northern Suburbs also made the cut.
Well, for the results in the 2021 Rugby Africa Cup and all the updates, remember to stay tuned in to KBC's subsequent bulletins tomorrow. Now, also the Kenya beach volleyball teams were on Friday hosted to a luncheon in Nairobi, 2 days after arriving home from Morocco. The national women beach volleyball team secured a place in next month's Tokyo Olympic Games after winning the continental qualifiers.
The national women's beach volleyball team secured a place in next month's Tokyo Olympic Games after winning the continental qualifiers in Agadir, Morocco. Kenyan quartet Braxids Agala, Gaudesia Makoha, Oscar Kasisi and Yvonne Wavinya trounced Nigerians teams to book a slot to the Olympics.
Mimi upande wangu niko na imani kabisa na hii team. Vile wamecheza kwa huu mchezo umekuwa Morocco ni kuonyesha ni watu wako tayari. Maana wamecheza na timu kubwa kama Nigeria. Maana tulishinda Nigeria, ilikuwa timu ya nguvu sana. Tumecheza na timu kama Egypt na hizo zingine Tunisia, hizo za West Africa. Na wameweza kushinda, ni kuonyesha hata kama tulikuwa tunaona kama hawajakuwa tayari, watu wetu wako sawa.
This will be the first time that Kenya will field a beach volleyball team at the Olympics.
Tokana na vile walifanya mwaka wa 2019 wakachukua silver medal wakati wa All African Games, nilijua kabisa siku itafika wapate gold, na ndio hiyo ilitokea wakati huu, wakati tulikuwa Morocco katika town ya Agadir.
Sport Commissioner Gitonga Gerard promised the team a new training ground, and the team is expected to resume training tomorrow ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Well, that's all the time we had for sports, but just as an update, the quarterfinals of Euro 2020 got underway today, and Spain was taking on, well, the dark horse Switzerland. That match is at 1-1. The match is heading into penalties. More updates in the subsequent bulletins. Well, Belgium will be taking on Italy at 10 p.m. Well, that's it from the sports desk. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. For now, I'm handing you over back to Shiksha. Good night.
Thank you very much for that, Richard. Of course, before we get anywhere, I'd like to talk about the Kenyan national dress. Do we have a national dress? Is there a need for a national dress? Well, Fred Indimuli is going to be getting into that, and of course, we'll be delving matters. The Kenyan national dress, right on the other side of the studio. Fred, over to you.
Thank you, Shiksha. Now, ladies and gentlemen, about 18 years ago or so, Kenya embarked on a journey to get a national dress, a dress or outfit rather, that any Kenyan wearing it would be automatically identified as Kenyan. Now, almost 2 decades later, that project appears to have lost steam, and now many people are asking, do we really need a national dress? What happens to a national dress? When do you get to wear it, if at all we have one? Did you know that we had a national dress? To help us delve in this conversation this evening, we are very privileged to have Akinyi Odongo. Yes, she is the Executive Board Chair of Kenya Fashion Council. Now, the Kenya Fashion Council is a multi-stakeholder body mandated to design strategies and interventions to support and sustain the growth of the Kenyan textile and apparel value chains. Also joining us shortly on set will be Derek Banga, is a personal branding and communication consultant, and they'll help us discuss this thing. But very quickly, Madam Odongo, if we could start with you. What happened to the quest for the national dress? Because 20 years on, almost 20 years later, we're still talking about the possibility of having a national dress. Then the question, do we really need it? But start with what happened.
Thank you very much for your question, and I think it's a very important conversation that we should be having. It's not just 18 years ago. If you read deeper, you find that from 1964, there was already a quest for the national dress. And I remember, as you say, almost a decade ago, Sunlight, which is a corporate, under Unilever, was able to come up with a process in regard to looking for the national dress. And I think they did a fantastic job as a corporate, where they pump in over 50 million Kenya shillings.
50 million
50
shillings.
million Kenya shillings to come with this, and Patricia Ithao really played a very big role as she was in Unilever then. And a group of designers took time. Over 9 designers, took their time. The public was given, designers were able to give their ideas, put it together. And it took the team a lot of work. You can imagine what 50 million was able to do then. It was a lot of money. And they did a fantastic job. There was public participation that everybody was given out. It was advertised, people voted, and there were, I think, the last 6 designs that now people were voting for, and we picked Kenyans. Picked on
but 50
the design.
50 million shillings later, 18 years later, do Kenyans even know that this design or the dress exists?
I think probably something that needs to change, and where we need to pick from. Once it was done, I want to believe that the Ministry of Culture was supposed to bring this forward, because a corporate has involved, themselves in pumping their money, and they created the vibe. So I think even the government, Ministry of Culture was supposed to take this up and move it forward to the next level. And that's where we dropped the ball. So I think we need to go back to where are we picking it from? The Ministry of Culture. That's where we need to get the file, pick it on, and have the discussion going further.
Okay, at this point, I'd love you to introduce Derek Banga. Thank you so much for joining us on set. Derek Banga is a personal branding and communications consultant. Banga is also the CEO of Public Image Africa. Are you specialized on this matter of public image? And of course, you're well versed with the national dress, or rather the quest for a Kenyan national dress. But many Kenyans seem oblivious of even the fact that we had that process. Do you really think we even need a national dress?
Well, first of all, I appreciate Akinyi walking us through that history. And that ball that dropped was simply because Kenyans did not feel like they owned that particular process. Now, we can get into how far should corporates go, how much does government need to play in, for example, that quest for the national dress at that time in 2004. But you look at countries from Scotland with the kilt, you look at the kente in Ghana, you look at the kimono in Japan. These are countries that have a rich history, and typically this national dress is something that has come through several generations. Typically, it might have come through the leaders in a community. And I think one of the issues, certainly when it comes to Kenya, is that because we have all of these disparate tribes, 42 different communities, we don't have that sort of history of kingship and things like this. This maybe is why we are not as endeared towards a national dress as perhaps other countries are.
And perhaps that's the question. Kenyans feel, do we really need a national dress? Is it still a viable idea? Is it still something that we should pursue at this time? Let's start with you.
Yeah, well, you know, 2021, look at the world that we live in, right? Digital technology, social media, the attention span of young Kenyans, if I can say that, or all Kenyans. There's so many things that occupy our limited bandwidth, shall we say. And I don't think national dress ranks high on the priority of things that we should be doing. It's a great initiative, and this is a fantastic conversation that we're having. And maybe conversations like this need to start around, you know, water coolers in the office. But it's in the.
Do you agree with that?
I don't agree. I do not agree. Oh my God! I think there's no better time as now to have the conversation about the national dress. It is a need, and it's something that we need to, you know, carry forward. I think as Kenyans, we need to look at our identity. And if you look at the history, I mean, we were colonized, and sorry to say that we are so deeply colonized that even our culture and way of life was sort of distorted. I would say somehow you're made to believe that this doesn't work or this works. And where we are at, right, I think we are at a good place. If you look at the Senate, where what is his name, who went wearing the regalia, and you can hear people saying, "Oh, a motion is being passed. Why is he dressed like that?" And then later on it was passed. So say at the Senate, you can actually wear your traditional, and those are some of the steps that we're saying. But again, I would say that if our leaders, we start from, you know, because Kenyans seem to copy, you know, it's a process. Having a national dress is not a one-time show. So we had already started a process. We reached a certain level. So it's us as a nation to start thinking and going back and say, where do we pick it? Can we pick it? Can we continue having that history? I just mentioned a few of the process that took place, that who is there to continue, and that's why the Kenya Fashion Council would be able to and push with government and say, can we, and also just empower Kenyans and enlighten them that this can be done.
I think the biggest disconnect probably is about whether or not it's still a viable idea, and what could be the purpose or would be the purpose of a national dress. But look at it this way. Kenya has talked about leaders, and we saw during Willy Mutunga's reign as Chief Justice a slight change from that British attire that we had, and the Supreme Court judges were dressed in a distinctly different color green. Then the next Chief Justice came in, David Maraga, and changed that immediately back to the British type of attire that we had. Is that the issue of leadership that you're talking about, that one leader or one regime can come and change everything else?
So I agree with Akinyi that this is something that should be pushed from a leadership position, but I also feel the young people that so many of us follow on social media are the ones who can also promote this. Actually, there's a fantastic example this week. We had one of the biggest entertainers in East Africa who was at the BET Awards, and he wore the complete Maasai regalia, and he got a lot of positive coverage locally and internationally. Now, someone like that who is followed, you know, he's got tons of followers on social media. If we get some of these more popular people in our culture to perhaps push some of these, like the national dress, I think then we can begin to gain a little bit of traction.
Okay. And even as we continue this discussion, we'll be running some pictures of some of the sample dresses from other countries, Ghana, Uganda, Japan, India. They all have, Ethiopia as well, Nigeria. And the question is, when it comes to leadership, because you raised the issue of leadership, you saw the attempt of this Supreme Court to try and adjust from this British style that we inherited. Do you think, because it only took one regime to come and change that, now you're talking about a national dress, not just one organization or one arm of government?
Number one is that the Supreme Court was another milestone that the design industry did. And I think it was termed as primitive. You know, we just need to change our mindsets as Kenyans or as Africans, that whatever we have within us and our culture is very rich, that we need to really hold on to it. Looking at he just spoken about the young people that should push it forward. I don't believe that the young people will be able to really push it forward if we don't educate them and tell them the history and continually keep telling the story, so that they're able to pick it up from where it was to even moving it forward. And how do we make, even as Kenya Fashion Council with Brand Kenya, we're working together in regard to changing the mindset of owning what is made locally and just being proudly, proudly wear something that is Kenyan and own it.
But there's one thing, it's one thing to wear something that is Kenyan. You mentioned the diamond and the Maasai attire, but that's just one community in Kenya. We have 44 different communities. Could that be the challenge, that bringing all these 44 communities into one attire, that it's practically impossible?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was intimating earlier, that we have all of these different communities, and how can we all decide on that one regalia? Personally, I think that if we all decided that the Maasai regalia, which is already well recognized, which already has gained some traction, which already represents, when people think of Kenya or maybe East Africa or Tanzania, then we decide that is what we're going to pick. And I think that's a little bit more organic than designers getting together, picking a little bit from the different tribes and saying, now this is the national dress, and we're going to make sure that all of us wear this. That is going to be a Herculean task.
And we're wrapping up this interview, but I'd want you to mention one thing, because I've seen on your website, you are working on Team Kenya's attire for the Tokyo Olympics.
Yes.
And how is that coming along?
Oh my God. We did we worked with Tusker in regard to branding the Kenyan team. And we also did the same thing, sent out the advert, people sent in their information, were able to go through the process of going through the designs that people that sent, and finally we took it up for public voting again. And the last designers that were last there, they're the ones who are going to now we pick on the particular ones that won, and Kenyans will be able to wear it.
We're definitely waiting to see what will be.
Let me just say the last part before you close me up, because you're saying Nigeria, they all have their national dress. Yes,
in about 30 seconds or so.
And they have very many tribes as well. So I think what Derek is saying, that we just need to identify what are we picking on, because even the national dress process, it took the designers to go through all the counties, all the now counties, to get everything. And we even, for the first time, we actually even considered the Muslims. If you look at the men with their shirt, they even had the hat, because we're like, how do we create something that is unifying Kenya as a nation? And again, it could be a problem just choosing up, because also politically, probably I say, I don't want to be a Maasai.
Very final word.
Let me say this as a nod to Akinyi. I will wear that Olympic uniform on the next Dress Down Friday.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
And we can start.
Thank you so much.
We should give you
yes. We are waiting to see what kind of outfit the Kenyan team to the Tokyo Olympics will be wearing. The process is still on, by the way. Thank you so much. And sorry for the short duration of this interview. Don't worry, we'll have this conversation. It still continues online. Easy Friday is a hashtag to use. Do we really need a national attire? Thank you so much, Akinyi Odongo, Executive Board Chair, Kenya Fashion Council, and Derek Banga, Personal Branding and Communications Consultant, for agreeing to come to studio to have this discussion. Remember, after this, an even bigger interview, not bigger than this, just an easier interview. Kevin Bahati Tena is in studio, and Shiksha Arora will be taking us through that. My name is Fred Indimuli. From here, I say good night.
Otiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uniekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako, chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
If you have been in contact with someone who is suspected or has tested positive for COVID-19, self-quarantine for 14 days and call 7194 for help. Self-quarantine restricts movement and the spread of the disease and protects your family, friends and community from being infected. During self-quarantine, you are advised to stay in a separate room, disinfect surfaces and clothing with appropriate disinfectant, avoid sharing household items, including utensils, towels and beddings, do not receive visitors, wear an appropriate face mask if you must be around other people. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, family and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
For most people, seeing wild dogs is a dream of a lifetime.
The only way I can differentiate between these two individuals born on the same day, same site, is using this small white unique spot.
Last night they only got a small prey, so they're hungry.
That thing killed all these packs within a span of 2 months.
She's been down for about 25 minutes now. We only have about 10 more minutes to go. They could lose up to 20 animals in just 10 minutes.
And through love, she became a queen.
Forget your name, but never forget you're a Jew.
Because in the will of God, the salvation of an entire people depends on the courage of one woman.
Rise, Esther, Queen of Persia and Media. Hail to the Queen!
The stability of the entire kingdom is in danger.
This is the Hadassah I know.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Please deposit this money into my account real quick.
May I know your account, please?
Michael Bakayoko. My account is 01826.
Thank you for banking with us.
It's my first time to bank. Could I ask how safe is my money? Or maybe I should just continue with my mattress banking. I think I should go back.
How are you, Mr. Bakayoko? How may I help you this time?
Well, I have come back to confirm the safety of my money. The one that I deposited earlier today.
Oh, I guess you haven't banked with us for some time. Now listen, whenever you deposit your money, be rest assured of its safety because you're a responsible bank which is a member of the KDIC. See that sticker there?
KDIC?
KDIC is mandated by law to provide insurance for your deposits.
Now I know. No more mattress banking.
Be sure. Check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Missy lover boy, in case you don't know. She lover boy.